Okay, so it's the following evening, boys. Just a follow-up video to the last air conditioning video I did on the SX4. I was talking about how you could actually, if you measured the DC voltage from the refrigerant pressure transducer, you could actually convert it and you could get some idea of the pressure in the system, right? And if you recall, we discussed this little card here, and I don't recall the actual, well, we didn't know the actual pressures, all we had was the voltages, so we were making some assumptions. So it didn't come to mind till today sometime that I should have proved this out, that I wasn't just talking rubbish, and it did actually make some sense. So if you recall, what we saw in the first, I don't recall the pressure, as I said, because we didn't have a reference to the pressure. We only had a voltage, which was, I believe, 1.37 volts. And we talked about it being somewhere in and around this range here on the graph. So in and around 100 PSI. Well, I'm in my car now. It's sitting statically. It has not been running. So, of course, the pressure is balanced on the high and low side. And there's the pressure. 700. I've got the VPECR hooked up to it, so I'm going through the climate control module, if you will, or actually it's the engine control module that monitors this particular parameter. But in any case, you can see the pressure, 714 kilopascals. Well, I can't show you it because I'm using my phone at the moment, but I just googled it. That's 103 psi. That's pretty damn close to what we actually had figured it was, right? So 1.39 volt, let's call it 1.4 volts for simplicity, where it comes across and intersects, is pretty damn close to the little graph there. So what we'll do is we'll start the vehicle, and if you recall, it went up to very, very close to 2 volts. So there's 2 volts there, and it intersects in and around the, let's call it 180 psi ish, plus or minus a wee bit. So let's start the vehicle and see what the pressure actually goes to. Now, of course, we're going to have to do the conversion again, so I'll interrupt the video momentarily, do the conversion, and then restart the video. So let's take a look. We'll start the car. Put the air conditioning on, of course. And the refrigerant pressure should take a jump. Keep in mind our outside temperatures, as you can see, 22.5 there, boys. That seems a wee bit low. It seems a bit warmer than that outside to me, but it's a wee bit cooler than I think it was yesterday. But anyway, it's close enough. It's within a few degrees. We'll see if we can get the point here. So let's see. We'll let it run for just a couple of minutes and see what our value actually is. Select that. You can see our evaporator temp is there as well, boys. So the vehicle is nicely cooling. Okay, so let's call it what? In and around, it's pretty close to 1200 psi. Hey, let's call it 1200 psi. Let me do a quick conversion of the units here, see what that translates to in pounds per square inch. Okay, so you can see the figure there, boys, is kind of in and around 1200, right? So I used 1200. I went to the converter, and it is in fact 1200 kilopascals is 174 psi. So what did we say? At the 2 volt mark across, that's pretty damn close. That is pretty damn close. proving the point that you can in fact use your voltmeter to get pretty close to the refrigerant pressure on the high side of the vehicle. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that, boys. I hope that makes some sense. Just a closing note here on my other vehicle. I took a snapshot and the balance pressure is only reading 40 psi. So the system is in fact leaking. Is gone down to the point where I don't have any AC operation at all because the clutch won't engage, and that's why, because there's been a loss of refrigerant pressure. It's not empty, but it's below the threshold now, I do believe. And that's my other car, which is over there in complete darkness, so you cannot not see it. Anyway, I thought that was worth just flushing out there, boys. There, so you can see that pressure is actually heading up, and well, it's cycling, of course, is the clutch cycles on the system, right? But yeah, very close to the figures we actually discussed yesterday with respect to converting them manually, just by using a simple graph and a voltmeter. So you don't need the fancy VPacker or any other scan tools. If you want to go old school, it's hard. It's not a simple way to do it, obviously, but it can be done. Right, that's it, boys. Cheers.